Hey everyone, welcome to the Midnight Ride. Got a frog in my throat here. How's everybody doing tonight? So first thing, hydrate. Weather's getting warmer. You need to hydrate more. Alrighty. All right, let's say hi to everybody that's in here. First one in tonight was Dioris. Hey Steve. Then Gear Grinding 19. Then Star Homestead India. Moon Over Miami. Cowgirl Hippie Chick. That's such a cool name. Where to Begin Homestead. And I got notifications trying to pop up in front of me here. Idaho Garden Girls in the house. Everybody's talking back and forth here. Troop 1351 is here. Phelan Klein Wolf is here. Keith Kronk is here. And I froze. And everybody's still talking back and forth. Rebel Canners is in the house. Hey, Tammy. Uh-oh. The kids must have woke her up again. And Vitra's in the house. And Keith Kronk is studying for the entrance exam to Oklahoma School of Nursing. Cool. CR is in the house. And Old Ways Prepping and Gardening. Welcome. And just try and keep up, make sure everybody just talks. So many people talking to each other. And Duncan 1900 Homestead is in the house, and Tibor is here. All right, so I think I caught up, and I think I got everybody. All right, tonight, one of the things some of you may have noticed I have not addressed on my channel with videos about, and that was that school shooting where the person of I don't want to say this without getting nailed by it. Crossover from one to another as far as their identifier. Anyways, yeah, there are plenty of other people doing videos on that. I'm not going to jump, at that. You want to see an interesting video? Go check out Gray Notes cartridge box video on it. And like I said, and now I said, "Yeah, you're thinking," because he was thinking outside the box. And I said, "Yeah, you're thinking." And I go, "Oh, wait a minute. The powers, they don't want us to think. The powers that be don't want us to think. They want us just to go blinded along." Keith, I wasn't going to say that, okay, because some of them been hitting people on it for pointing that out. The certain group does not want that to be pointed out because that does not fit their profile of a active shooter. So they want it's like, wait a minute, this isn't the type of person that's supposed to be doing this, and they're getting all bent out of shape out on it. So it's like, but yeah, so I agree with Gray Note is that there's a possibility of them coming out and saying, "Oh, it's this person of that is doing it," so all must be bad. But then they're going, "No, wait a minute, we can't say that because it doesn't fit the thing." So we have to go back to it's the pew that's bad, not the person using it. And I agree with Gray Note. It's the person using it, not the tool. And you can't lump everybody into one category. So it goes like that. And I just got some stuff popped over here. Okay. And so there are, it's just one of those things. So I'm not going to go out and make a full-blown video on it. There are plenty of videos out there on it. I know Steve at Corsair Trainers has put up a link to a bunch of the CCTV stuff going on put out by one of the news organizations. Oh, hang on. A friend of mine married an American who's a teacher and was in that school. She's alive and harmed. All right, cool. Glad to hear that. Yeah, I know that, but the mainstream media is not going to point that out, Keith. They're not going to point that out, unfortunately, because hey, they are putting together militant left-wing groups, and they don't want to point the finger at any left-wing groups. All right, so enough of that. Just be aware that's going on. Prayers and thoughts should go out to the family members of the children that were shot and the staff of the school that were shot as well. So, pay attention, watch the news, see what's going on. I'm just kind of reading up on the chat here, comments coming out here. All righty. So let me go ahead and drop that down and bring this up here. So I only got a couple news things from California that are worth talking about. So the first one here is talking Bay Area layoffs, and the top. Let me go in here, pull the story up because it has to do. It's actually not just affecting the Bay Area, but it's affecting the Bay. So they're freaking out. Anyway, so tech and biotech companies have revealed plans to cut over 23,200 jobs in the San Francisco Bay Area. All right. There's a company called Glassdoor. I'm not sure what it is. They laid off 130. Microsoft is laying off a bunch. Natural Jobs is laying off a bunch coming up here. And it's not just them doing it in the San Francisco Bay Area because, hey, Microsoft is mainly elsewhere. And so they're laying people off in other states as well. Hey, Joe, Garden State Gardener's in the house. Oh, yeah, exactly, T-Boy. You're right on that. All righty. So, so that's what's going on. So there's, there are layoffs going on, and some of the layoffs are also due to companies relocating out of the great state of once golden California. All right, let's go over here. The next one is, the weekend, starting from last weekend into this week, the frost and rain and wind things have been traveling from California across the United States, and it takes about 3 days, it seems, for here in Idaho for me to get hit by the storm that was hitting the San Francisco Bay Area. So it takes about 3 days for it to get across here, really. But here's a fun one here. If those of you like to go skiing, California ski resorts extend season amid historic snow. Yes. How far are they extending it? Well, let's see here. Mammoth Mountain expects to top its ultimate and is confident it can stay open through at least the end of July. All right. So Mammoth Mountain Ski expects to be staying open through the end of July. Palisades Tahoe announced it plans to stay open through the 4th of July. So basically, some of the ones here is talking about they got they got Southern Sierra was recorded at 286% of normal snowpack. Okay, and that shattered the 263% set in 1969, and that was reported by the Los Angeles Times. UC Berkeley Snow Lab has measured nearly 56.5 feet of snow in the Sierras. Woohoo! And Tibor says another high wind weekend for the forecast. Yep. And this afternoon, tonight, the geomagnetic storm is hitting from the corona hole. And when it hits like it is now, you can expect within the, to start up almost immediately, windstorms to start picking up and everything else. And it started snowing here about 40 minutes ago. And the wind had picked up about 2 hours ago. I could hear the wind blowing outside here. When I can hear it from outside, from inside, yeah, it's picking up. But anyways, so if you want to ski California, there are several of the Big Bear Mountain Resort. It's going to go, season's going to last through at least the end of April. And, they got 100 inches of base, and their total is 200 inches overall by the start of the week, and they're getting more snow now. So, there's going to be a lot of them that are going, holding out. Others are, like Southern California Mountain High Resorts in Wrightwood is extending operation to pros with hopes of holding on even longer. So, there's going to be a bunch of them up there. They're not reporting here what's going on with. Okay, here it is. All right, yeah. So Vail, Heavenly Valley, North Star, Kirkwood will be going at least through the first week of May, and maybe longer if they keep getting snow. Sugar Bowl keeps planning till late April. So, hey, if you guys want to ski California, you can do it into some warmer weather here coming up. And so let me go back over here. Something we missed last Monday, and I totally spaced to miss this. Monday was the best night to see it. There may be a little bit still going on out there. 5 planets are parading across the sky. And we got Mars, Uranus, Venus, Jupiter. And it's not saying what the 5th planet is here. Let's go into the story. Got to find out what the 5th planet is. Come on. It's probably, Mars. It's not saying what the 5th planet is. They're saying 5 planets all the way through, but they're not saying what the 5th planet is. Oh, but the moon is involved in there too, as is the star cluster Meissner 35. We're all going across, and they'll be in the sky visible at different points still a little bit this week here, but Monday was the best night to view it. So that's a sky watch there for you. And what else we got here? Oh, from the CDC, folks, and it's not just for California. This is everywhere. They're talking about this. Invasive group Strep A roared back last year amid shortages of the drug to treat it, and the CDC is seeing increase in infections. So Strep A is still an acute threat in the United States, and especially places of larger density populations. California's San Francisco Bay Area, the Southern California, Los Angeles metropolitan area, New York, Jersey, Goes on Chicago. All right. And okay. So yeah, and it goes on. Talks strep group A streptococcus is usually mild illness, can rarely be associated with complications like rheumatic fever. Symptoms of strep include sudden onset of sore throat, pain swallowing, fevers. Persons with strep should consult their health care provider and get tested. Well, I like the last paragraph kind of downplays it. Okay, yeah, it's mild, but the CDC, oh, watch out for it. Yeah. And the last news one here is came out this afternoon. So the last one about the snow was last Friday. This one's this afternoon. And it's going to breaking records set, breaking a lot of the records that are set in the early 1980s and some in the 69s. And so the average statewide snowpack is at 236%. So yeah, it looks like more of those resorts are going to be staying open even longer than that previous article. That was from last week. All right. All right. So, hey, Cynthia, Kate, how's it going? King Poobah is here. Woo-hoo. No, yeah. All right. And so let me change the banner here for a second. And so these are the Gray Man Prepping channel members. I'll throw them up for a little bit so you can see who channel members are. And see anybody else sneak in here? I think Green Granny 2 is here. And just trying to check back there. I'm doing that. Okay. Alrighty, let me go ahead and do the drop here for those. Okay, and there's that, and I'll answer the question. All right, big weight scale. Well, it goes up to 350 pounds or whatever, which is what my small step-on scale does. But I would stand on my small scale, to your standard spring-powered scale for the bathroom. I'd sit there and watch, and the needle would go up, sit there, and if I stayed on there, it would also start going. After a couple seconds, it'd start going up higher and higher. I could stand there and pick up 5 pounds just by watching it for 10, 15 seconds. So it wasn't giving me accurate reading. A balance arm scale is accurate. You can stand on there all day; it's not going to change. So it's just that it's and it was on sale. It was super cheap. Some of the spring scales, digital ones, and all the other ones, that you can get, they were running, the quote decent ones are running upwards of $100 or over $100. Well, this was $210, and it's EMP proof. It's it's going to last forever. So, yeah. Okay, I have been out of the loop. I haven't been watching news and stuff. What's going on for Saturday? What's coming up here on Saturday? There's nothing in any of my news feeds that I do subscribe to. And so I have a feeling, like before, they've done, internet April Fool's Day things, for stuff coming on. So I'm not sure. Hey, Suburban Hillbilly, how's it going? All righty. And let me go ahead and drop that down, get that out of there. Oh, and before that goes off the screen, it probably already went off the screen. There it is for Star and, Diora's, Idaho Garden, anybody that wants to, that's a normal, one of the normals or semi-abnormals wants to come up. The interesting thing happened though here today. I'm trying to think about what time it was. It was probably about 5 o'clock, I think, maybe 4 o'clock. I'm sitting in here, and in the bathroom over here on the vent, I started hearing tink, 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 tink. I go, well, that's louder than normal rain. So I get up and go to look outside, and there's these little snowballs, like almost hail coming down. And they start making noise. Go grab my camera, go out there, and I start to film a little short on it. And about 10 seconds, it starts coming down, then all of a sudden it stops. It's like, okay, it was coming down there. And I look down, and the stuff is melting almost instantly. Yeah, it'll work. Even whether it's a natural EMP or a man-made EMP, my scale will keep on working. Google it. Okay, all right. Let's take a look. See here. Normal left in the 1900s. All right. Saturday, AP on April 2nd, EVENT. See what comes up. I'm not coming up with anything at all when I Googled for Saturday. So I'm willing to bet it's probably some sort of April Fool event going on. Yeah. But yeah, so it's starting tomorrow, though. I get to babysit the grandkids across the street from about 1:30 to 7 o'clock my time, because my daughter, that's her time to work, and they've added days onto it. So so it's from the 1st through the 10th, I think it is. Yeah, the first, I don't know, the 31st. Oh, okay. I see why I goofed up. March 31st. Okay, it's April 1st. Let's see what that show is. I thought, for some reason, I was thinking, yeah, there's a bunch of April Fool's crap going on and people talking about that. Yeah. So whatever is that, what big event's supposed to go on is April Fool. So anyways, yeah, she's working from the 31st, which is Friday. I was thinking, for some reason, I think Friday was the 1st. So from the 31st, she has Saturday and Sunday off. She works all next week, Saturday and Sunday off, and then works on the 10th. So. Hey, pretty sure corn silk got indicated. You don't care. Okay. So yeah, so I'm babysitting kids for 7 days, minus Saturday and Sunday. So I got this Friday, all next week, and the following Monday. But I got stocked up, and I did another stock up video, and unfortunately, I didn't notice that I turned on my microphone on it. It came a nice bright green light. By the time I walked around it, the battery went about 5 minutes, not even five, about 2 minutes into the video, and it started getting and it was so loud you couldn't even hear what I was saying. So, yeah. Is anybody out there thinking about picking up a portable powered one of those portable power stations? A solar generator. There, Ben put out a couple more videos this week. There's some cool ones in there. I just got to convince the staff sergeant to let me go ahead and get one of those. But then I'm also been looking at it, and there's some interesting stuff out there. There is one here on Amazon. Let me bring it up here for you guys. This is a poor man's hack for a portable power station here. It's on here, and I want to go into my list, and I want to look at solar, because I just found this here on Amazon. Okay, a couple days ago. All right, so come on, get on the right one here. There we go. So this is a lithium iron phosphate battery, 12 volt, 100 amp hours. It will do up to 7,000 deep cycles. That means deep cycle, life cycles, just taking it all the way to zero and charging it back up 7,000 times. So if you just take it down a little bit and stuff, it's you go if you like a quarter way down recharging, you basically do 4 times that. But the interesting thing about this thing is here. Come on, let me get there. It comes with a wall charger, so you plug it in, charge it. You charge it off the wall. You don't have to have solar panels, like if you're in an apartment or something like Kaylin. You can charge this. And so basically, this gives you, hey, Steve. So this basically will give you 1,200 watt hours of use, and it's only it's under $300. And I just was figuring, if I get 2 of those, I can totally run all my greenhouse lights on it during the daytime and charge it up at night when it's cheap. So these are some of the other ones. There are some other ones I'm looking at too that you can also do. They come with chargers on them. So there are different ones to look at. You can look, if you look on on Google, on Amazon, if you're looking on Amazon, you put in there lithium iron phosphate battery with wall charger, and that will help you. And that might give that.
That ain't a bad deal.
So yeah, that's a real good deal.
Yeah, I was actually considering getting like just a regular like lead acid, like marine grade deep cycle battery, or maybe a gel cell deep cycle battery. But that's not a bad deal. A lot of those portable charging packs, whatever you want to call them, charging stations, like you got the option to charge it up via the wall, or you can charge it up with solar panels. The one in particular I remember probably most fondly is the one that Canadian Prepper had advertised for a long time, and I don't like dropping his name that much just because he kind of ticks me off. But I have to admit he did sell some pretty good products. Was it the Kodiak? What do they call it? The Kodiak? I forget.
Hang on.
Battery pack.
Here it is. The Kodiak by Energy.
Yep. Yeah, and he was showing like he was demonstrating that you could actually run like an electric dryer off of it.
Electric dryer?
Yeah, yeah, he had, yeah, no, he was
He had to
running.
be. He had to have a 110 dryer because that's all the Kodiak would do was 110.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he was doing it, but
He
that's
he may have rewired the dryer to run off of 110, like for a, or he was using a dryer for a RV or travel trailer that it's 110 dryer.
don't know. All I remember seeing was a video of him having a dryer going. Sorry, I got my
Yeah,
camera turned off because I'm doing stuff that YouTube don't want to see on live stream, so I don't want to get your live stream shut
yeah,
down.
I understand.
Cleaning up some pews. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the now going back to the battery I was showing here, it's $289, and that's free delivery. A lead acid battery at, of the same size and stuff is anywhere from 200 and what was it, 275 up to 380 or something of the same specs on it, depending on what brand you get and stuff. And they only have 300 to 350 recharge cycles, whereas this thing has 7,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So and you don't have the smell of sulfuric acid when you're recharging it like you do with a lead acid battery.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, there's 365 days in a year, 7,000 recharged. Just imagine it getting recharged every day with the sun coming up and the sun going down. That's
20 years.
Yeah. I was going to say it's at least a couple decades.
Yeah, that's about 20 years. Not quite. It's about 18 and a half years.
Oh, that's still pretty darn
But that's
good.
taking it all the way dead and charging it back up. And then after that time frame, its efficiency has dropped from 100 to about 70%. So it still has a 70% capacity on it after all that time.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I guess I'd be interested in doing something like that if I could rig that up to a permanent solar system for my future homestead. I'm not looking to go green so much as I'm looking at just trying to be off the grid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it has with that type of battery, that's what I want to do here. I just want to have it here, and until I get my solar system set up, have it plug it into a timer so the wall charger turns on when we go off peak hour pricing and it becomes cheaper for the electricity. Charge it back up, and then during the daytime when it's expensive, I can run the grow lights and stuff on it and not cost me an arm and a leg. But it's interesting on this is that, two of them. So you're looking at, let me do the math here.
About 600.
11, 22 off of 600. So that's about $588. Is that right?
We'll figure just 600 for tax.
Yeah, taxes. Yeah, oh, yeah, true. Tax anyway. About $600 for two of them. Froze with the wall charger unit for it, and then, like for me, all I need is a 500 watt inverter. But I always say get double because you don't want to use that that inverter at its maximum. So AC, DC, and inverter, 12 volt. There we go. All right. Let's see. Let me see how. I want to get a decent one. Get about 1,000 watt one here. And I'll just bring up just the high price ones. Okay, a 3,000 watt is $229. A 1,500 watt pure sine wave, $159. All right, so that's that's a pure sine wave, which is what you want to have. And then all you need is a charge controller. And let me see, bring up look at charge controllers. If you want a charge controller is something you want to have if you're going to use solar. If you're not using solar, you don't need that. Charge controller. And a 30 amp charge controller, $12.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, so basically 30 amps, you can put like 1,500 watt panels on that. Easy. And that's well under it. It's probably even, be able to put more on it there, but yeah. So there's a, so you got, $20 there. You got 150 here, or 160 for that. Actually, that's modified. Don't want modified. You do not want modified sine wave inverters. You want pure sine wave. Modified ones will ruin computers, electrical equipment. Some of the newer motors aren't as stout, and they need to have pure sine wave on it. Yeah, so about 150 for a pure sine wave. So you look 160. So you look at it's $200 with tax, and $600 for 2 batteries. So for $800 with tax and everything, you set up with a 2,000 watt inverters, or no, 1,500 watt power station, homemade, and it's and if you're only using like 750 watts continuous, that inverter is going to last forever.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least for the batteries, I mean, battery technologies, I mean, I have to admit, it's come a long ways within the last 5 years. But I guess my question is like, if a person's not using, and I guess this is for like lithium in general, even for like lithium battery powered tools, like I guess I wonder what the max shelf life is for those batteries just to be sitting if you're not actively using them. Like, I'm not asking for how long they'll maintain their charge, but can I charge them back up and say they're flatline dead again? Can I charge them back up? How long can they sit around?
Months. I know that. Ben's been doing some tests on some of those. And most of the time on his test for just sitting there not being trickle charge, he said some of his the power stations last 3, 4, 6 months before it gets down to like 30%, and he's got to charge it back up again. But that has stuff that some of them have micro draws on it.
Yeah. And I figured that's probably going to be typical of any battery. What I'm trying to get at is like most batteries, like say most automotive batteries, most of your one-time use non-rechargeable alkaline batteries, you're looking at anywhere between 5 to maybe 10 years for a lot of that stuff. As far as it's still being good when you take it out of the package. I'm just wondering if the lithium, what point does the lithium break down just from sitting around? That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not at, like I figure if it sits around long enough, you're gonna have to recharge it. That's a given with
it is. Even with my rechargeable batteries in here, my nickel
hydride.
They say the package just says good for 10 years pre-charged. Just in the package. So that's that means there's that just sitting there brand new in the package on the shelf, says 10 years on it. Now the lithium iron phosphate, unlike the lithium ion, the lithium ion has electronic software in on it so you don't discharge it too fast, you don't charge it too fast. It's a protection thing on it. They added to a lot of them to keep them from catching fire, because people were charging it too fast, it would overheat and it would catch on fire. Well, the lithium iron phosphate can be charged a lot faster and does not have the same heat buildup that the lithium ion does. But I'm really not. Let's see here. See if I can just find this out here on this one here. Let me look at it this way here. I'm going to see if I see what Google says about so how long does a stay fully charged? If they pick on a specific brand here, Dakota, it's from Dakota Lithium Batteries. And Dakota says that their batteries have a typical self-discharge rate of 5% per month.
Okay. Well, that sounds about the same for whatever.
Here it says, in other words, it takes 6 months for a Dakota lithium battery to self-discharge to the same level as a conventional battery does in just 30 days. Wow. Conventional being lead acid battery.
Yeah. I guess like I said, I would like to set a few of those aside. Like I said, when the time comes right, I'd like to set a few of those aside as replacements, because I guess for me the biggest fear is two of the biggest fears is like either coronal mass ejection or an EMP weapon being used, like I said, knocking out the power grid. Well, if I have my solar system online, it's going to get knocked out as well. Now might not be so much with the EMP, because I mean, not the EMPs, the coronal mass ejection, just because don't quote me on this, but I believe the wire span has to like exceed like something like 300 feet, like not in full length, but like a span or something like that. It
depends on the level of the ejection, the class level of ejection. If it gets up into the high X class, you're talking about something that will fry just about anything. However, one of the interesting things about most solar panels nowadays, on the back of them, let me see if I can just pull up a picture of a come on, let me see what's in. There we go. Okay, so here on the back of it, you have that little black box. Mm-hmm. You have your cables that are plugged into it, and that's your hookup. In that box is a crud, having a brain fart here. It's not a shunt. Basically, it only allows power to flow one way. So what that does is that so at night that keeps it from being used as an emitter, basically draining your batteries at night.
Okay.
All right. So that's the first about all of them now have those in there now. Now, one way they used to deal that before they started putting those on there was you'd buy one of these little devices that you put the cables on, and it did the same thing. CR is calling it a rectifier. But before they started putting those on there, the other thing they were doing, they just had people, telling people, you put one together, you get yourself a disconnect switch. So when the sun goes down, you turn the disconnect switch, and the panels are totally disconnected, so it doesn't drain off. Some people have done videos where they've taken those apart and they've repaired the little thing that gone on it and got it to work. Others have just totally disconnected it and to make it EMP proof and made all their panels so they don't have any electronics in there on it. And then they have a bigger shunt, a replaceable bigger shunt down by their batteries. And that way, if something does happen and the shunt gets fried, they just pull another one out of a Faraday bag, replace it, and they're going again. Like I said, it depends on the, depending on how much wire you have hooked up in your system, how long the lead is, also dictates how much charge it's going to pick up from a solar EMP.
Yeah.
And then also depends how powerful that EMP is as far as how much juice it's going to pick up per foot, inch, whatever, of the electrical wiring you have out there.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about as far as like the electrical wire. Like a lot of the, as I understand, like I said, my understanding is pretty limited. I'm sure there's probably some physicists that could probably explain this to me. But as I understand it, the wave, it's so wide from the CME, it needs like I said, it needs a specific span. Like I'm talking like a stretched out span in order for the wave to be able to couple. Like for instance, like the 1859 Carrington event, the reason why the CME was able to couple with the telegraphs, and it was actually, and believe it or not, it actually coupled with the railroad tracks, because there were stories of some sections of railroad tracks actually catching fire because of how intense the CME wave was.
He heated up and heated the
it had to couple with like a certain like a minimum distance of basically rail or basically wire, and had to be stretched out so far. Now, again, I don't know. I would assume that it have to be stretched out. I imagine if it's coiled up, I don't think it's going to couple very well.
Yeah, well,
as far as a CME
because when it's coiled, it actually becomes a magnetic inducer, so it works. It increases the circuit than it would being a straight out cord.
Yeah. See, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, for instance, you got two transmission lines running side by side parallel with one another. Okay. And you'll have, like for instance, you'll have one shut down for maintenance because the crews are replacing all the wooden H structures on that one particular transmission line. Well, the other transmission line that's running parallel with this one can actually induce voltage on this transmission line that's shut down. In fact, so much so it can actually kill people. It can actually cause fires. That's why they have to do they call it what, EPZ ground. EPZ ground. They have to just bond it
right
to discharge the electricity, because, like I said, it's stretching out so far, and like I said, it does a lot better job inducting the current because it's running parallel.
Yeah, because it's side by side with it.
It's able to. Yeah.
Well, interesting on that too is the big transmission lines on the steel structures. It's big old massive lines and stuff. Yeah. At night, if you take a regular fluorescent light bulb, go stand underneath it, it'll look like you got a lightsaber because it'll light up. Yeah, we used to have fun because up the street from us there were the big transmission lines coming in there, and we were told that at school. Oh yeah, because it puts off there is a static charge that comes off around it and stuff. And if you feel it walking underneath those, sometimes you feel your hair kind of stand on end sometimes, and it's because of that you can light up a fluorescent light bulb. So we'll test it out. Went out there, and sure enough, so we were out there playing around with not hitting the tubes because they would shatter, but we were like pretending we were Jedi Knights, back at the time when Star Wars first came out, and it was really interesting. Pros, But then later on as an adult, it's like, wait a minute, there's all that energy coming off of it. What's happening to those people who live alongside of those big transmission lines? Because generally they'll have the area where it goes to the city underneath it cleared out where nothing's underneath it.
Yeah, it's called a right of way.
The right of way, but then they have apartment buildings and they have other stuff built up right next to that right of way, and it's like scary stuff.
Yeah, well, like for instance, like whenever you got like a down power line, or heck, even a lightning strike, good example too. That energy is dissipating. You got basically fields of electricity, and like the reason why people die in case with either lightning strikes or down power line is the step difference in potential, because the field is greater at the source and it dissipates further and further out. Like, let's just say
it's like a flashlight.
I was say conservatively speaking, you got like a 13,000 volt distribution line that gets down because a car smashed into the utility pole and it severs the line drops on the ground. It's 13,000 volts right there within, say, like the 1 foot radius, or we'll even say a 1.5 foot radius, and then it dissipates, let's say another foot or 1.5 foot out to, say, like, I don't know. Again, I'm just pulling numbers out of the air right now. We'll say like 8,000, and then another foot or so, it's like 5,000, and 2,000, and eventually it's just zero.
Yeah, well, it's like a flashlight. Up close, it's nice and bright. The farther you get away from it, the weaker the light is.
Yeah.
And because, you think about it this way, that line is radiating out energy, on the ground in 360 degrees.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just looking at some of the comments. People, I'm clueless about this. Well, it's electricity is something that scares people because at first it's hard for them to understand, but once you learn the basics about it, it's easier to understand, and the more you talk about it with people, you learn a little bit more in doing it.
Yeah, and like I say, it's not. Electricity is not some magical thing. I mean, try to explain this stuff to people, say from the 1700s and on back. But it's not some magical thing. It's basically us utilizing the free electrons that are available and the different metallic materials that conduct the electricity the best.
Yeah.
So you're just creating a difference in potential, and then the electricity just flows.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and one interesting thing is, this may confuse people out here for a second, talking about an EMP. Everyone thinks, well, I'll just have a garbage can and I will bury my electronics. Well, unless that garbage can is insulated, everyone seems to forget. There are three legs on your 120 volts. You got your black wire, which is called your load. You have your white wire, which is called your neutral, and you have your green wire, which is your ground. The ground current flows through the ground, and if you get a big, EMP, there's going to be a lot of energy flowing through the ground. And if you have something stored in the ground that's not insulated, guess what's going to happen to it? It's going to pick that current up as it passes through. And so if you're planning on being underground, you need to make sure you have Faraday cages or Faraday bags for electronic stuff underground to protect it from the current, because it's not just in the atmosphere. Actually, stuff up in, like sitting here in my office here, once I unplug everything, is safer than if it were in a cargo container buried in the ground.
Yeah,
because it's going to be more of an electric current that's going to be picked up from that in the ground and going through the cargo container and radiating out in the cargo container, and as opposed to what's being picked up here, just sitting on a desk here in my office. Now, being plugged in, then I got all the wiring. It's going to hook and it's going to pick up crap and do that.
Yeah, at least from a
Yeah.
CME point.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this much: like the ground is much more conductive when it's moist and it's not frozen, it's not dry. It
Right.
like it's got better. I wouldn't say,
Electrons in the water move.
yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things is interesting is, like I've mentioned this several times, I have several Kindles. And my oldest Kindle is kept in a Faraday bag. And when I download certain manuals and stuff on it, I pull it out and download it to that one as well, put it back and try to make sure it's charged back up and put it away. The thing is, everyone thinks that, EMPs are going to catch us off guard. No. We generally will have anywhere from 36 hours down to 13 hours of warning, depending on how powerful that CME ejection is and all the plasma and everything coming at Earth, how fast it's coming. Because the more powerful the ejection is, the faster it's coming. And the other thing that also affects all this is whether it's an impulsive, and I forget the other term that Ben Davidson uses. Well, the impulsive is just and the other type is a long duration flare, and so you're getting a lot of stuff coming, and where it might not be as quote a biggest flash, it's being a longer duration. You're getting more energy out there. That's not a big flash. And so, and we see that. They can literally see, they just had a flare on the sun. Oh, look at that. There's an ejection. It's going away from Earth. We're okay. Oh, this one's coming right at us. And there are several satellites out there tracking stuff. And they have the both NOAA and I can't think of all the other ones that have it out there. They have what they call their emerald spirals maps, and it shows where the flare is going on in position to Earth and the Moon and Mars and other planets as they go around, showing how it's heading out. So I mean, it's funny. People go, "Oh, we just had a massive a Class X CME, where it's going to wipe us out," and it was an impulsive one. It was just which means it's not going to, even though it's a Class X, it's not going to have that much behind it because it was a flash in the pan. And then it's like, wait a minute, it's not even aimed at Earth. Yeah. And so people freaking out by some of these channels going, "Oh no, it's a high Class X. It's going to wipe out all our electronics." It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. I just want to point out, but don't be calling a CME an EMP because they're not the same. I mean, they're similar, but one, like I said, one is man-made, the other one is generated by the sun. With it, because if you say we'll have 13 to 36 hours of warning of an EMP, that's
Actually, an EMP can be either man-made or sun-made. The EMP is the result of the CME making contact with the Earth's electromagnetic sphere. That creates the EMP on Earth from the sun. So an EMP can be generated either by a nuclear device, one of these electron accelerator gun things they use as an EMP gun to aim at buildings and stuff, or it can be caused by a CME making contact with the magnetic sphere. So an EMP is not just man-made. An EMP is anything that creates the electromagnetic pulse. And the Carrington event CME, I'm trying to remember, it was a class 10.8. But it was a long duration one too. It was not just a flash in the pan, it was a long one. So when it hit the Earth, you have this long stream of the coronal mass ejection hitting the magnetosphere and hitting it and just keep hitting it for hours.
Yeah,
That's how come the EMP lasted so long on the Carrington event.
I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Carrington effect, based on newspaper reports, it lasted for, what was it, like a week and a half? Because there was reports of people for days at a time getting up at the wrong hour thinking it's time to go to work.
It was, I believe they said it was 48 hours. Hang on a second. Let me double check that. How long did the
Carrington
event last? Sit up. The flare, it was a 5-minute flare. That's a long flare. And it was a powerful one. It only took 17.6 hours for the CME to traverse the 90 million miles from the sun to the Earth. The geomagnetic storm lasted from August 28th through September 5th. That was the length of the storm. So that's 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 31. Yeah. So it's about 7 days. But let's see here. The power of basically the EMP hit at the first, and as the storm waned off over the last 4 days of it, it was down to practically nothing as far as electrical energy, unless it was on a really long system. But it wasn't like, the big hit was in the first 4 hours.
Yeah.
Now the aurora and stuff, that lasted for the 7 days, and created problems. So basically, if we were using radios and stuff back then, during that probably the entire 7 days, it would have been bad radio or no radio, reception at all. But the EMP itself, trying to find it here. Where is it here? Looking it up here. Solar cycle 10 is when it occurred in 1859. Okay, now the actual one talking on the Carrington event says it only lasted on the 21st and 21st, the 1st and 2nd of September. No, but it goes back even farther on the 29th. So just trying to make out what all the facts that they're putting in here, and they're jumbling them up and as they're under the article here. Oh, it's saying that they believe that there were 2 events. There was a first one back on the 29th that cleared the way of ambient solar wind plasma for the Carrington event on September 1st. So there were 2 on that one. So we got a 1-2 punch. That's what it is. So the first one started the auroras and everything else, but it was not strong enough to cause a CME. I would cause an EMP. But this one that hit later on September 1st and 2nd, that CM causing the EMP at that time, lasted over the night. So, the articles on these are long, and a lot of them, And as a disclaimer, some of the information there is conjecture because they weren't there to view it and actually do all the tests and stuff to see what was going on, because we didn't have all this electrical stuff we have now. We had telegraphs and a few other things.
Yeah, well, we didn't even have street lighting back then either.
Yeah.
The first street light wouldn't appear to, like, I want to say 1871. I have to look in my book.
Yeah.
But back to what I was saying with the transmission lines. So, like I said, you could have two transmission lines running parallel. One could be shut down for maintenance. You could still have induced voltage. In fact, you'll have significantly more induced voltage on that one that's running parallel versus, say, we got two transmission lines and one's crisscrossing over the other one. Yeah, the one that's shut down that that's crossing over or under the other one, it's still going to have induced voltage coupling with it, but it's going to have significantly less due to the fact that there's less surface area of the wire making contact. Well, not contact, but you say, all right, we'll say making contact with the electromagnetic field, because that's essentially what these transmission lines induce. And that's why you've got the right-of-ways. And that's why they build them so far up in the air, so that there is no chance for anybody on the ground to accidentally break the mad distance and basically cause an electrical arc to, arc fault to the ground from one of the phases.
Yeah. Yeah. It also depends on the intensity of the EMP. We get hit by a lot of EMPs during the year. The Earth gets hit by a lot of them.
Yeah.
But they're very weak. They're glancing blows. They're or weak projection.
It's the Earth's magnetic field, its own magnetic field, that actually protects us from a lot of those geomagnetic storms.
Yeah, but the problem is our geomagnetic field with the shifting of the magnetic poles is weakening.
Yep.
I mean, that's like that
2012 movie.
This last week where they're talking about the red aurora borealis, the red aurora being seen down as far south as Florida. That's because and what caused that was not a really intense geomagnetic storm. It was a minor one, but because the way our geomagnetic shield is weakening, it had more effect. And there's been several other things going on too. If anybody wants to learn a lot about this stuff, Ben Davidson over at Suspicious Observers talks about it every day. Puts out a 4 or 5 minute video in the mornings. Sometimes in the afternoon he puts out longer ones. He does at least once a week a live stream question and answer, and he's got several textbooks he's written on it that are used in the universities. But if you're worried about having power for your home after electromagnetic pulse, whether it's a solar powered one or a man-made one, there are some things you can do, but realize a lot of stuff you have, the equipment itself may not work. Maybe it'll have a power station or have batteries set up ready to go, and the equipment the charge controllers and the rest of the stuff insulated Faraday bags ready to pull out. But your computers may all be fried. Depending on your circuit breakers and stuff like that, your electrical motors for your refrigerators and freezers and stuff may all be fried. So
yeah, because of the fine windings used to build those motors.
You get hit with that surge and it just kills it. And it may not start a fire. It may just be enough to kill it.
Yeah, and believe me, like I said, as far as like the transformers, and and when I say transformer, I'm not talking so much the ones on like the substations or distribution or anything like that, or even switch yards. I'm just talking about like a small transformer, like something that you plug into a wall outlet. Like something that would go on the end of a laptop or something electronic. It doesn't take much to fry something like that because the windings are so fine and the insulation is extremely fine. It doesn't take much to burn that insulation off. And that's where, that's where you're going to get the catastrophic failures. And like I said, just imagine that, like for the smaller transformers, the same thing's going to happen with the larger transformers that are online at the substations, at the switch yards.
Okay, we got a little conversation going in the side chat here about real books and stuff, and then talk about silverfish and stuff. And Star had a question. Actually, we in one place we lived, there were a lot of silverfish around, and what we did to keep them out of the books, there's little packets you can get that are baits for silverfish, and you just put them, around at the bottom of bookcases. Put them up on top of books and stuff, and the silverfish go after that, eat it, die before they reproduce, and you can get rid of there's some things like that.
Yeah, I haven't had to deal with silverfish since I lived out in Nebraska.
Yeah. Silverfish we mainly had to deal with was down in Southern California. Didn't have too, and some of them that came with us up to Northern California. But once we killed them up in Northern California, we didn't have any problem with them. First street light was 1880, Wabash, Indiana. Yeah. All right. Let me go over here. And not sure what departments I'm going to search all. It's going to be SILV.
I'll be right back, Gil. I'm going to go grab my textbook because I've got a textbook that I think, like I said, there's a specific kind of street light that came out, and it's like a electrical arc street light.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go find it real quick. Like I said, it's different from the incandescent bulbs or the sulfur lights that a lot of people are familiar with.
Okay. All right. So I looked up here, and here we go. So even on Amazon, silverfish packets, silverfish glue traps. So the ones that are act as glue traps for silverfish and spiders, even. And this is 20% boric acid. For that kills off silverfish. And then there's silverfish. What was the other thing I was looking at? Traps indoors. Yeah, they got little boxes with sticky traps in them and stuff like that. So there are different things you can put out to help catch silverfish and stuff. Yeah, when it comes, I have so many books here, but I store a lot of stuff. I duplicate a lot of books onto my Kindles, and so my Kindles I keep, like I said, I keep my old Kindle there in an old, my old Kindle in a Faraday bag. The next time I upgrade my Kindle, I'll be, moving everything from it over to the new one and getting one that has a bigger memory card for it, and I'll put that other one into a bag as well. So I have two in bags. But if I have to leave for anything, I have a lot of medical books and other books on the Kindle because the Kindle weighs a pound. A box of books, you're talking, 50, 60, 70 pounds for a box of books. And ain't no way I'm hiking around with, the books. And I can I have on my Kindle probably enough boxes of stuff, probably about like 4 boxes worth of books. So I'm looking at, several 100 pounds of just books that I keep on my Kindle for emergencies. Yes, as SAS Special Air Service has stuff out in both. A lot of my I have a lot of my old magazines and stuff. I have both the hard copies in storage, and I have downloaded PDF versions of them as well. Survival guide. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
So this is the lineman's power line. Basically, it's a workbook. It's for Rocky Mountain Line School. But right here in chapter 1 it says the earliest applications for electricity was for powering electric arc streetlights. Those are the lights I was talking about. Mm-hmm. Sir Humphrey Davy first demonstrated electric arc lighting before the Royal Society in 1808. So actually, it's a lot earlier than I originally thought.
Yeah, so he was demonstrated that the principle in 1808, but that was the electric arc light. Most people don't know what that is.
Like I said, it's not a typical street light. It's kind of
and it's basically 2 carbon rods, and they arc and create an arc there, and then it has a power feed because they know how much it burns off the carbon rods, so it keeps the carbon rod feeding together to keep that light going. And they were very big and popular on Broadway in the theaters for the spotlights. And actually, when I was in college, the Diablo Valley College had put in a brand new theater, big, huge theater, stage theater. And the Mr. Deedle, who was in charge of the sound and lighting and stuff, got a arc light for class demonstrations. That thing was bright, and it was smoky, and it was noisy. Yeah, it was like a welding rod.
Exactly. Well, that's pretty much kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Like imagine, like I'm sure people have seen videos and images of electrical equipment, catastrophically failing. You got giant electrical arcs, just look like bolts of lightning. They're just jumping across. And that's kind of a similar principle, because it's what do they call it? It's ionizing the air. Except for I think those are in vacuum tubes. I think like a vacuum bulb.
Yeah. There are some different ones. There are some just a simple lamp, and the carbon arc is fed in. The big one is fed in on the one side. There's a picture of a carbon arc going on. There's a carbon arc spotlight being moved. That big monster. And here's some of the other ones, and it basically has the reflective thing behind it, and it feeds through to reflect the stuff for it.
Yeah.
But here's something that's really interesting, folks. Your old incandescent lights are actually EMP proof.
Yep, I knew that one.
The fluorescents, not so much. Your LEDs, heck no.
No snowball's chance in hell.
Yeah. And what's funny is, as kids, we got hold of a bunch of these 12-volt they looked like about like the size around of a D cell battery, but about 1.5 times taller. And they had the 9-volt battery ends, the pin end and the clip in on it, so you could snap them together. We got hold of a bunch of those, and I can't remember where we got them at. But they were probably only had like half the charge in them they were supposed to have. And we connected a bunch of them together, and we hooked a wire to it, and we were playing around. And we took a light bulb, we touched the wire to the side, and the base, and the light came on. We're like, cool. And we were running a 75 watt light bulb, and it was really cool. So so if any way you can generate your own electricity, if you have a bulb, you can produce lights. Flashlight, the old flashlight bulbs and stuff. I still have a box of those around somewhere of the ones with the two D cell battery flashlights. Because we used to have a ton of those, and we got extra bulbs because they would burn out, or someone would drop one, and the impact would cause the filament to break. And so we always had extras of those. And so and then one of the things I remember as a kid, the 2 cell flashlight bulb would also work in the headlight for my bicycle, with a little generator that flipped over on the side and would run against the wheel.
Yep, I've seen them.
And and so that there, bicycle powered stuff is a possibility for people to use. I've put that in the videos showing different ones where people have taken bicycles and car alternators or just DC motors and turn the DC motor. If you turn it, it becomes a generator.
Yeah.
And using those on a bicycle to generate power.
And I was going to say that's actually true with most motors. I'm not sure for the 3-phase motors. I'm not sure on that one, but like the single phase AC motors, it's pretty much true. If you spin them fast enough, you're going to generate an electromagnetic field, which basically induces electricity.
However, the AC motor is not as efficient being turned into a generator as a DC motor is.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you got to spin those AC motors pretty daggone fast to get them to do it.
I guess for me, my biggest concern is just have power for basic lights, and if any of the refrigeration happens to survive, put some refrigeration online, and have enough voltage produced that I can run a well, because I imagine I'm probably going to be somewhere out there, somewhere out where I'm going to have to depend on some well water.
Yeah. And for people with well pumps, worried about an EMP, if the pump is a submersible pump, I'm trying to remember if I get this right, because this has been a long time since I was this. I believe the submersible pumps are more susceptible to a burnout than the above ground pumps are. But the bonus is, on an above ground pump, if the motor does burn out, you can hook up, if you something else to drive it, whether it's going to be wind power or whether it's going to be several bicycles and people on the bicycles running pulley belts to power, to pump the water. The pump head will still work. It's just that the motor won't. And Don's in here. WD Lock and Roll. He slipped in a while ago and I forgot to say hi. So there is some, and then of course, when it comes to pumps, the old wind pumps you see going around,
that like the Dempster windmills and the aero motors.
just like the old Western windmills.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The dempsters.
Yeah, so basically off the back of it, it had a shaft coming off that was bent down like a camshaft in a car. And it would go up and down as the windmill turned around. And the first of those went down. They just took a hand pump, figured out what the stroke on the hand pump was, and made it so just take the pump off. And my grandmother said they had on their farm, they had their windmill water pump had the handle still on it.
Yeah.
All they had to do was just disconnect when the wind wasn't blowing and they needed water. They would disconnect the windmill shaft yep. and just hand pump.
And that's something I would like to have on the premises if in case all else fails, because everything mechanical eventually fails, especially if it's electromechanical. It all fails. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. I'm just reading the side chat here.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see what's going on here. Yeah, those old square Ever-Ready batteries, the square ones with those coil springs on them.
Yeah, the 6-volt lantern batteries.
Yeah, I still got several of the lanterns sitting around here, but I don't have any batteries for them.
Yeah,
brand new in the box, never used. I just got to get batteries for them.
I'm kind of opposite of you right now. I've got maybe 3 of those batteries laying around, and I've got two lanterns. The problem is the lanterns I've got are LED.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure. I'm still not 100% convinced if you bury something in the ground that an EMP will couple with the item, because again, as I was talking about in one of the previous, I don't think it was your live stream. I think it was Shadow Scout Swede with creative redundancy. But take for instance, you drive I'm sure many of us have driven through tunnels, and we lose phone signal. Like now some people say, "Oh, I've driven through the I-70 Eisenhower tunnel through the Rockies. I didn't lose phone signal." It's like, well, technically you did. You lost phone signal, you lost radio signal. The only reason why you didn't notice you lost is because they installed repeaters throughout the tunnel, so your phone signal remains constant. So in ways, there is going to be some shielding effect from the ground. Again, how much shielding there's going to be, I don't know, because it all depends on how moist the ground actually is, because the drier the ground is, the less conductive it's going to be. Right. Henceforth, like, for instance, like a lot of these transmission lines, a lot of these power lines and substations, one ground is not substantial to ground said piece of equipment. You actually have to put in basically like a small grid of grounds. I forget what I think. Oh gosh, I have to look in the book again.
Yeah,
I forget there's a specific term what they call that. I'll have to look, see what chapter that was again. But you go ahead and I'll let you know what it was.
Yeah, the things like radio waves and stuff don't have the basically like my handheld ham radio is a 5-watt. 5-watt hitting the ground is not going to produce enough any current to go anywhere. But if you're having an EMP and you got like thousands and thousands of watts, that will travel through the ground. Let's see here. What we got here? Only most pumps, hand pumps have iron handles on them. But if you're worried about an electrical storm, you don't want to be out there pumping even when you have a plastic handle on it. And if you're worried about electrical shock on it, they make rubber electrical tape, not the vinyl stuff, the cheap vinyl stuff. They actually make rubber tape that you can wrap around it, and then you can put the vinyl UV resistant tape over that to protect the rubber, and you're not going to get, protect you from shocks and stuff. It also keeps you from, it gives you something softer to grip onto.
Yeah. Hey, Gil, I found it. So
Okay.
the series of grounds I was talking about, and this is mostly for transmission towers, but if the ground is not sufficient enough for just a single ground, they'll do what they call a counterpoise. Well, they basically put grounds on all four legs of. I'm talking about the lattice style steel towers. They'll put
the big cat head ones. They look like a cat's head with a thing up on it.
Yeah, they'll put what they call a counterpoise, which is basically 4 grounds attached, and then those grounds on each corner are actually bonded to the next set of grounds to the next tower. So it just travels all the way across. And like I said, that's part of what they'll do if the soil is not ideal for, like I said, for grounding purposes. Like I said, it's too dry, it's too rocky, not enough moisture, it's not wet enough, or it freezes often.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah. Those are the towers I'm talking about.
Yeah. See what I say about we call it a cat's head for that particular design.
Yeah, there's a technical term for those two structures, vertical structures that stand on either end. Those are called goat's heads.
Yeah.
Those are where the static wire run across, and the static wire is it's basically a lightning rod to protect the line from having a bolt of lightning try to couple with the electrical energy traveling through and keeping it from frying.
So I'm gonna make this picture big here. And make it big. So looking at the top here, this is your ground wire you were talking about up at the top there.
Yep, static wire. Yep, that's the static wire.
Static wire. So you got 2 static wires on here, and then down below here where your insulators are your transmission lines.
Yep. Also note that every transmission tower you're going to see, they've got them. They always have the lines arranged in 3s. Same goes for distribution, because it's 3-phase power, alternating current.
Yeah. Okay, they're talking about sticking the 9-volt batteries to your tongues.
Hey, that's how legit. That's how I test to make sure my 9-volt batteries are still good. It's like, okay, yeah, that shocks, it hurts, so it works.
Yeah, I got tired of doing that back in my late teens, and I bought a battery tester. It's like, okay, we're gonna go with the battery tester. My tongue got tired of.
Grant, I've got little multimeters, and I can set them to check the voltage. Set it to DC and check the voltage on the batteries. But most of the time, I'm too lazy to bring that out. And actually, I've got a multimeter stuffed away in one of my Faraday cages, just in case. Sorry.
We have. Let's see if I can find it here. AA, AAA, C, and D battery tester. Okay, see, that brings it up here. Okay, where's the one we got here? Okay, there's a bunch of the new style. I'm looking for the old style. We have a couple of the old ones. Let's see, I'm just going to show it here. That's a charger. Those are charged. I want the tester. One we have basically has 2 has on one side for a D, and then this one here has on it for 9-volt batteries as well, but it's just a little simple little white one, about that big. You can put D's on one side, C's on C's, A's, and C's, double A's, and triple A's on the other side. And in the middle has two prongs sticking up. That's for your 9-volt batteries to go on.
Yeah.
I was thinking of trying to find that old style. Try this. It brings it up. The old ones, nah. And those things I have are probably so old, but they work. They're at least 30 years old. And they still work. That's all it does. You put it in there and it tells you what your voltage is. Yeah, they don't even show that type anymore. Yeah. Got a picture of a similar one, a vintage Radio Shack tester, $50 on eBay. That's a spring-loaded one.
I wonder when Radio Shack's going to make a comeback.
I don't know. When Radio Shack went out, I lost my supply for a lot of electronic components and stuff for making stuff. They just, you go, if I needed little things, so I go in there, I could buy all the little connectors and all the things I need. And when they went away, I can't find any place else that carries them.
Yeah, I used to buy the 1.5 volt battery boxes for double A's because I would solder together like simple circuits, like a motor with a switch.
Yeah. T-bars. His is, come on, let's work. There it goes. His is a Radio Shack, and it still works. In 1975, when I graduated from high school, my grandmother bought me a Radio Shack stereo system. It still works. The 8-track player in it still works. Hey, Nomadic, how's it going?
Now, is it true that you couldn't rewind an 8-track?
Yes, you cannot rewind an 8-track. But that didn't stop me from figuring out how to fix them. Because basically, and 8-tracks, because of their design, wear out. So basically, you have a round plate spool with a pin in the middle, and the tape returns on the outside and pulls it from the middle. So that's a special thing to pull it to guide it just right. Goes up and around and comes back out. And so you can't run it the other way.
And that's why cassette tapes were all the rage when they came out.
Yeah, because let's see. Let me pull this up. Come on. There we go. So the one on the left here,
yep.
As it pulls out there, it turns a little bit, rides over and comes back up, goes around, and then wraps around again. And as it pulls, everything slides a little bit as it shrinks back down in to go pull out the middle.
Ah, okay.
And so the wheel would turn as fast as the tape in the middle here comes out.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and I actually when I was doing my haunted house back in the early 70s and then on into the 80s, I put soundtracks on for my ghosts and goblins and graveyard noises on these. And so I would figure out how long I need it for, and I put a little mark on the tape, play the tape for that many seconds, take it apart, cut it down so it was just that long of a tape, and then I record my sound on it, and I'd have my repeating sound of like if it's a 15-second tape of wind blowing, and it would just play continuously wind blowing.
Pretty creative. Now, were those 8-tracks, were they more sturdy than the cassette decks?
Not really.
Not really. They're about the same, huh?
Yeah. The 8-tracks, actually, you would wear out an 8-track tape quicker than you would a cassette tape.
Okay.
Because as you're playing it, it's wearing. Where on the cassette, it's not rubbing and wearing.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the other thing. You had, there were 8-track had right speaker, left speaker 4 times. So you had 4 tracks on it. 4 tracks of stereo. And yeah, that little metal thing would change track. The metal would wear out, or on the player, the sensor would screw up for that. Yeah. Okay, well, hang on. They're talking about pumps now. A single pump on Google. What type pump you looking for, Don? Looking for a well pump, a hand-powered well pump, or an electric well pump? What are you looking, or what type of pump are you looking for? There's the link, simplepump.com. And let's see what they're looking at. SIMPU pump.
Did you say simplex pump?
Simple.
Oh, simple.
There's
such a thing called a simplex.
Yeah, simple pump. There we go. Well pump. There we go. Okay. That looks similar to one that Martha, Old School Prepper, has. So yeah, that's one of them there. There's another company that makes some emergency ones. Pump. And over here in Montana, Apocalypse well pumps in Montana. They make some. They were making some PVC ones that worked on the static resistance of water to pump with. But see here. And I froze, and there is the Apocalypse well pumps. And they got different type of using a PVC system on it, and you pump on it. So it's a neat little system they have.
Well, this right here is a good reason, though, to have water storage. That way, crap does hit the fan, you ain't gonna have to worry about procuring water right away. You can kind of coast on your water reserves until you absolutely need to start expending calories to manually pump water out of the ground.
Tibor, it's not necessarily the best of bread. It could have been Gordon Lightfoot, whatever the song that your favorite girl liked, and it screws up. That just kind of kills it all right then and there. Boom. Enough about 8-tracks. Okay,
When did
Baker pump. Okay,
hang on, real quick. When did they discontinue 8-tracks? Like what? Like I know they didn't just overnight. They're just gone, because the cassette tape. It had to take some time.
When it was in the 80s.
Because it's kind of like when compact discs first came out in 1982. It's not like the cassette decks just disappeared. In fact, I remember cassette decks all the way up until probably middle school.
8-track cartridges phased out of retail stores late 82, 83. Some the Columbia House, RCA were producing them records. Until 1988. So, yeah. Okay, let me go back here. Looking at Baker pump.
Sorry, I mean to distract you.
Baker well pump. This is what I was just looking on what trying to find Baker well pump. There we go. Baker water systems. Okay, I remember seeing those suckers.
Show me an image.
See if I can get this image here. Have you ever seen those?
What about the image down below? Is that the same one?
Yeah, they won't enlarge. Those images won't enlarge.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that. And that right there on top of that pump that you got your cursor on, that would be right where the windmill shaft would connect.
Yeah, I've seen the and this one, because this has the right shaft up above it going up and down on that one. So yeah, so I just looked up Baker. Let me pull back here and go. Here we go. Yeah, so there's a Baker pump there. Yeah, I remember seeing some of those around up in the California National Forest. Yeah. All right, Star. That was a while back. Yeah, so Star left us here.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, I agree with you, Steph. Cassettes. Especially if you develop your ear, because some cassettes players, as you fast forward and reverse, you would go, and you go listen to it. Boom, you hit the thing. You could stop it right where you wanted to stop it at. Yeah. Well, all right. It's coming up on midnight here for me, and I got to babysit grandkids tomorrow, so I need to get some sleep tonight. Check my thing over here. Hang on a second. Tomorrow on Camp Patton Family Compound, talking about planting. How soon is too soon to plant, which is interesting. I was talking to my wife this afternoon, and she's going, "Yeah, we're supposedly had our last frost date." And I go, "I just heard that California's going to get hit with some more frosts here." And I told her what my stuff to check on for NOAA and stuff. But she goes, "Yeah, but they aren't. They were supposed to have had our last frost date, but they're still telling everybody don't put out your tomatoes yet in California." But all right, so tomorrow we're going to talk about how soon is too soon to plant and ways around that as well. That's what's up for tomorrow. Monday on Fireside Chat is open chat right now so far. And then Tactical Tuesday here on Grayman Prepping is what are you preparing for? And we're going to talk about different events and reasons people should be preparing. So that should be an interesting one on Tuesday as well. Steve, thank you for coming up here.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Gil.
Yeah, and I hope we didn't bore everybody too much with all that electrical talk,
Yeah.
but it's important, especially if you need to make your own electrical system. You need to know something about it and figure it out. And let's see. Okay, it was snowing in western Idaho this morning. It was snowing. Started about 9:20. 9:30 Mountain Time here. So, all right, we'll see everybody later. Have fun, stay safe, keep adding to your preps, and add to your knowledge as well. All right, all right. And 3,